From the outside, a beehive can look simple, a place where bees fly in, fly out, and store honey somewhere in the dark. But if you could look inside, that picture would fall apart almost immediately. What seems like a shelter is also a food warehouse, a nursery, a checkpoint, a cooling system, and a place where work never fully stops. Countless tiny actions are happening at once, yet somehow they do not collapse into chaos. They hold together. And that raises the real question behind the hive. Inside this crowded, buzzing structure, how does everything work well enough for the whole colony to survive? To understand that, we have to stop thinking of a hive as a container and start seeing it as an organized, living structure. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. What makes a hive remarkable is not the honey, but the order behind it. People notice the obvious things first: the honey, the queen, hexagons. But the deeper wonder is not any one feature. It is the order that holds them together. A hive runs with astonishing precision without anything that looks like human management. There is no blueprint, no control room, and no bee standing above the rest to direct traffic. Yet food is collected, young are raised, threats are screened out, temperature is stabilized, and the colony adapts when conditions change. What prevents chaos is not command, but coordination, roles, signals, timing, and responses meeting one another when needed. And that system begins with something physical. The hive itself is built like a place where different jobs can happen. This is not just a hive, but a structure with distinct zones. A hive makes more sense the moment you stop imagining it as one hollow chamber. It is a built space with layers and functions. Even at the entrance, there is already a kind of border control. Guard bees inspect arrivals by scent because each colony carries its own odor. That is how they tell who belongs and who does not. A stranger carrying nectar may still be allowed inside. Even here, the hive is selective. Around parts of the structure, bees use propolis, a hardened plant resin that helps seal cracks and reduce infection. Deeper inside, the wax comb is not just elegant architecture. It is practical organization. Honey is usually stored higher up, pollen beneath it, and brood cells lower and more central, where eggs, larvae, and pupae develop. Some zones support future workers, while lower cells can hold drone brood. Narrow passageways along the comb edges help bees move through the hive, so this is not merely where bees live, it is the physical infrastructure that lets collective life keep functioning. But structure alone is only the beginning. A hive works because its inhabitants do not all do the same thing. The colony runs by division of labor. Most of the bees in a hive are worker bees, and all of them are female. But the key fact is not just what they are, it is how their work changes over time. A worker bee does not keep one job for life. The colony uses age almost like a schedule. It takes about 21 days for a worker bee to develop from egg to adult. Once she emerges, one of her first tasks is to clean the very cell she came from. Soon after, she helps care for eggs and larvae, feeding them and keeping the brood warm. As she grows older, her responsibilities shift. Between roughly 12 and 20 days of age, she begins doing work inside the hive, producing wax, handling nectar and pollen, building comb, cleaning spaces, and helping guard the entrance. Only later, around 20 days old, does she become a forager. Then she leaves the hive to collect nectar, pollen, water, and tree resin for propolis. That progression matters because the colony does not depend on every bee doing everything at once. Stability comes from work being matched to stage of life. One group is always aging into the next role the hive requires. Still, labor division explains only part of the system. For thousands of bees to act like one colony, work also has to be guided by information. Bees do not just work, they constantly tell one another what the colony needs next. A hive would fail quickly if every bee worked in isolation. Effort alone is not enough. Bees also need a way to update one another about what the colony should do next. That is why the dance language matters so much. When a forager finds a rich source of nectar, she does not simply bring some home and hope others stumble onto it. She performs the waggle dance. What looks like frantic movement is actually a message packed with detail. The duration helps indicate distance. The angle points to direction in relation to the sun. The intensity helps signal how rewarding the source may be. And bees use more than one signal. A shake dance can stir other workers into going out to forage sooner. Later, when large amounts of nectar return and must be processed into honey, a tremble dance helps recruit bees inside the hive to handle that work. So the hive keeps redirecting effort as new information arrives from the outside world. That is the moment the hive begins to look very different. It is not just busy, it is informed. And once you see that, it starts to resemble a system that can monitor conditions, respond to change, and protect itself. A hive can treat illness and keep conditions stable. The picture grows stranger when you notice that a hive does more than gather food and raise young. It also protects the colony's health. Some worker bees care for those that are weak or unwell, almost like a tiny hospital staff inside the hive. In the transcript, they even bring different kinds of honey depending on the infection. If a sick bee becomes too great a risk, she may be removed from the hive altogether. The priority is preventing a larger collapse. The same logic governs temperature. The colony tries to keep conditions near 95 degrees Fahrenheit because eggs and larvae need that stability to develop properly. If the hive cools too much, bees vibrate their bodies to produce heat. If it grows too warm, they bring back water and fan their wings so evaporation cools the air. That means a hive actively maintains the conditions life depends on. It has something like hygiene, maintenance, and environmental control at the collective level. But even a system this organized still depends on reproduction. And that is where people usually imagine a ruler at the center, the queen. The queen matters, but she does not run the hive. The phrase queen bee makes people picture a monarch at the center of the system, as if the colony works because one insect rules it. But the queen's real importance is both simpler and more interesting than that. She is the only bee in the hive that can lay eggs, which makes her essential to the colony's continuity. She is larger than a worker because she was raised differently from the larval stage onward, fed royal jelly, and developed in a larger cell. Later, she produces pheromones that influence the colony's mood and cohesion. Yet for all that importance, she is not a manager. She does not assign jobs one by one or tell workers where to go. In fact, one of the more surprising details is that her brain is smaller than a worker bee's. Drones, the male bees, make this even clearer. They do not forage, they have no stinger, and their main purpose is to mate with the queen. If they succeed, they do not survive the process. If winter approaches or food runs short, workers often drive them out. So reproduction is vital, but it is still only one part of a larger system. And the clearest proof appears when the colony becomes too successful for one hive to contain. What happens when one hive becomes too much for itself? When a hive grows too large, the result is not simple overflow, it is reorganization. At a certain point, the queen leaves with a large part of the colony, and the swarm goes searching for a new home. What could have become disorder turns instead into division. That matters because it shows the hive is not a rigid structure tied forever to one location. It can separate and still preserve its underlying order. The original colony does not become leaderless rubble. A new queen hatches there about 8 days later, and the cycle continues. So the hive can reproduce not only its bees, but its own organization in more than one place. By now, the hive no longer looks like a box full of insects. It looks like a living process that can expand, divide, and begin again without losing the logic that held it together. The real secret of a hive is not honey, but coordination. In the end, the strangest thing about a hive is not the honey. It is not only the hexagons or even the queen. What lingers more is the larger pattern inside all that movement. Tens of thousands of tiny creatures creating something that behaves almost like a single body. From the outside, a hive can seem like a small object full of noise and instinct, but a closer look changes that impression. The apparent chaos has structure, that structure has timing, and that timing allows the colony to turn separate lives into one functioning system. Guards recognize who belongs, workers age into new tasks, foragers bring back not only food, but information. Others regulate temperature, care for the weak, and protect the brood. Even growth does not automatically produce collapse. It can produce another colony. That is why a hive survives not because one bee stands above the rest and commands it. It survives because thousands of bees keep reaching the right task at the right moment, and perhaps that is the deeper pattern worth remembering. The most durable systems are not always the ones built around one strong center. Sometimes they are the ones held together by countless small roles, performed well in relation to one another. If this video changed the way you see a beehive, subscribe to Secrets of Simple Things for more stories hidden inside ordinary things. And if there is another everyday object, habit, or system you want us to explore next, leave it in the comments. Your suggestion might become the next video.